Welcome to the HER Gov Podcast, where women entrepreneurs learn how to secure contracts, scale profitable businesses, and build lasting wealth. I'm your host, Tamanisha Casey Mayberry, business and tax strategist, entrepreneur, and founder of HER Gov. So, whether you're just starting your business or preparing for your next big opportunity, this is a place for practical strategies, real conversations, and the confidence to take your business to the next level. So grab your coffee, grab your notebook, and let's get in today's conversation. Hey everyone, and happy Wednesday, and welcome to the very first episode of HER Gov Podcast. I'm super excited. First off, I just want to say thank you. Whether you're listening on your way to work, sitting in your office, or enjoying your morning coffee, or whatever it is that you like to sip on early in the morning, I truly appreciate you spending part of the day with me. I've been looking forward to this moment for a very long time because this podcast has been on my heart. And today, I want to answer a question that I get asked all the time and why we are essentially here. Why government contracting? Out of everything I could talk about as a business owner, tax strategist, consultant, why is this? Well, the answer is actually pretty simple. Because I believe too many incredible women owned businesses, particularly black women owned businesses, are leaving opportunities on the table. Not because, we aren't qualified, but because no one has ever introduced myself and other business owners to a different way of thinking about business and how to scale their business and how to make more money. And essentially, how to build our business to where it's going to be less stressful. Yes, you know, building a business, owning a business is it's pretty stressful, especially when you have built your business from the ground up, right? But this is another opportunity for us to scale our business and to make more money, and to do whatever it is we want to do in our final strategies or final stages of our business, right? So for years, I have worked with entrepreneurs, with assisting them with, their accounting side, their financial side, whether it's taxes, bookkeeping, accounting, payroll. But I've also been helping with a lot of business strategies. And one thing I've noticed over and over again was this, that most entrepreneurs spend majority of their time chasing customers, right? We're constantly thinking on how we can get the next sale, how we can get the next client, like what project we need to work on, and also chasing money, right? When we have clients, we gotta, kind of beg for them to pay our invoices, right? Or chasing after money. And which is, it's nothing wrong with, chasing customers or, doing, heavy marketing, going on your next sale. But one day, I started asking myself, like, what if there was another way? I got tired of it. I got tired of, chasing that next client. I got tired of that. When I first started my business, of course, it was small, and my only customers and clients were family and friends. I started off as just a tax business, and I was working 9 to 5 and working a job and trying to figure out how to come out of my job, right? Trying to figure out how to scale my business, what to do in my business, to kind of come out of working for someone else and putting it all into my own business. And it had to be another way. So that's when government contracting really caught my attention. And not saying that, but I've worked with companies that had government contracts, right? So I was already introduced into contracting opportunities. I first learned about it, which I've always known about government contracts, but actually knowing a lot more about it is when I started working for a company back in 2007, which was a woman owned company. And so I already knew that, I mean, that was her business. Her business was federal contracting. That is all she did. And so I already knew that, okay, what can I do myself and what in my business and my capabilities, what can I do? And so learning that and knowing that process. But I already knew about it. So I just needed to know how to get into that space, right? So I realized that every day that government agencies are purchasing products and services from businesses just like ours, right? Let's talk about some of the companies that are available. Of course, number one is construction because infrastructure is the number one thing when we talk about opportunities. But I was like, what about my type of business? I had an accounting business, I had a business consulting business. But yes, they are looking for marketing firms, consultants, IT professionals. When we talk about services, janitorial, healthcare, event planners, right? Let's not talk about some of the products that they look for in supplies. They're looking for medical supplies. They're looking for clothing. They're even looking for food. So I thought, why aren't more women sitting at these tables? And when I first started my journey into government contracting, I was in a room full of business owners that did not look like me. And that was one of the things. I didn't even see that many women. So when I had first started my journey, this was back in 2007, 2008, every time I go to these networking opportunities or what they call these pre-bid conferences, which I would get into a little bit more, but I will literally be the only woman there. I would literally be the only woman, and then sometimes I would be the only Black woman. So I had to ask myself, why aren't women like me sitting at these tables? So why aren't more women or more women like me raising their hands and saying, like, my business can do this? So this is why, and this is where HER Gov was born. First, I had to get myself, as far as my business, through that door, and I had to learn how to, um, build my business in that. But getting my contracts, getting my certifications, I still did not see women like me. So this is where HER Gov was born, right? Not because I wanted to teach people how to fill out paperwork, but because I wanted women, and particularly Black women, to start seeing themselves differently. Like, I wanted women to stop thinking like small business owners and start thinking like CEOs. And because when you prepare your business for government contracting, something amazing happens, right? When you get into this space, it really starts to really think about what systems are in place in my business, right? So you start to, have this wheel going on in your mind, and you begin to build better systems. You organize your finances a little better. You strengthen your operations. Like, you literally become more intentional. So even if you never bid on your first contract tomorrow, you have built a stronger business. And that's what I love about this space, because we talk about how to build your business better. Because we've always been taught to, hey, start a business. We hear it all the time: start a business, start a business, start a business. But no one really talk about some of the systems that we need to put in place in our business to become better business owners, right? We hear all the time how people don't have great customer service, or when we look at their finances are in shambles, and that's because we've never been taught or never been, and no one ever said, hey, look, this is what you need to do here, right? And so I'm a big and a strong believer of education when we talk about learning new things about our business, right? And learning how to build our business. It's so many, apps out there, so many websites, so many softwares. It's so many things out there that can make your life a little easier when it comes to building your business, right? But government contracting isn't just about winning contracts. It's about becoming the kind of business owner who is prepared, right, when opportunity knocks. And one thing is that that's the one thing that I love about creating this space and this HER Gov space is because we are giving you information on how to build your business to become stronger and to become better. So that way, when this, huge contract is available and you're like, hey, I'm here, I'm ready, you will be there and you will be ready to take on that responsibility. But one thing I've learned over my years in business is this: preparation creates confidence, right? Knowing that you have a great system in place, knowing that there are nothing can slip through the cracks, it will give you an amazing feeling to know that you can conquer the world, right? And so the women I see succeeding aren't always the smartest. They aren't always the biggest companies. It's just they basically are simply prepared. So that's exactly what I want this podcast to help you do. So every Wednesday, we're going to have honest conversations, right? We're going to talk about real conversations, real situations. We're going to talk about business. We're going to talk about leadership. We're going to talk about certifications. We're going to talk about finances. We're going to talk about networking. And yes, we're going to talk about government contracting. We're going to talk about corporate contracting. We're going to talk about all the different ways to build your business, to make your business better, right? And having honest conversations and saying, hey sis, you slipping. Okay, hey sis, whoa. You haven't filed your taxes yet? Oh girl, file your taxes, okay? Right? That is what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be having some open and honest conversations when we're talking about business. And I think that we need to be open. We need to be transparent when we're talking about it. And one thing I can say is that finances is the hardest thing to talk about when we're talking about business. No one doesn't like to know that they failed, right? And sometimes when we say, hey, we're really not making the money that we're supposed to be making, or our money is not going a way that we should, and sometimes we can feel shame about, how our business is running, but we shouldn't be, because we all have to start somewhere. And if you didn't know, you didn't know, right? But more than anything, we're going to talk about becoming the kind of entrepreneur who is ready for bigger opportunities, right? That is what we want to talk about. We want to position ourselves to where, we get in a space, our business is flowing in the back end, and we happen to meet someone. And so, we see contracts and we see opportunities happens all the time. I have been in a room to where someone was able to provide a service to a government entity right there on the spot, just by them asking questions and conversations. So it happens. So if someone could come to you and say, hey, do you have this, this, and this? And you're like, yes, of course, we have it. They could be like, boom, give me a call. We can meet up, right? And a contract happens just that fast, right? So because here's what I believe, and let me tell you what. I believe that your next opportunity can completely change your business, right? Just think, if you have your systems in place, you have a staff that can be capable and ready to hold that, and someone say, hey, look, here's $1 million contract into doing what you're doing, $1 million a year, right? That can completely change your business. Hell, even $250,000 a year can change your business, because you can get a contract and you can still do your business, what you're already doing, and still being able to provide products and services to your regular clientele, but having an additional 250, that could change your business, right? So The question is, will your business be ready when it arrives? Right? So that is where we're at. We're going to talk about how to build your business, have your business structured properly. Let's get the fundamentals going. Because I think what is that old school saying? A lot of us put the carriage before the horse, right? You've heard that. I know I've heard that many of times from my grandparents, and I've heard it before. A lot of times in businesses, we jump into situations without even knowing what can happen. And I personally, I've seen so many entrepreneurs jump into a situation because, hey, someone said, hey, we can give you an opportunity, we can give you a contract. And then all of a sudden, they get this contract and they are not ready. They didn't have the systems in place. They didn't have the people in place. And now you got into this opportunity, and now you can never work for this entity again. Your business name is not going to be good because they're going to be like, okay, you took this on, and they probably even gave you the opportunity off of somebody else's work. And then now the opportunity presents itself, and now you can't deliver. So this is the point of having these conversations, is changing your mindset, changing the business, the way you think about business, changing some of the systems and some of the things that you have in place, so that way when these opportunities arise, you'll be ready and you can jump on it. You can say, yes, I'm ready today. Right? So in conclusion, I want to thank you so much for joining me for our very first conversation. And I appreciate you being here. And I can't wait to continue this journey together with you. I can't wait for you to hear some of the amazing things that we have in store. And hopefully you could take this information and change the way you think, because that's the first thing, is changing our mindset and giving us the confidence to believe that we are that our business can grow. So let's, I'm here for it. So thank you for joining us for our conversation for today, and I look forward to next Wednesday. Talk to you soon. Bye. That's a wrap for today's conversation. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to follow the HER Gov Podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, or wherever you love listening to podcasts. And if this conversation encouraged you, share it with another woman entrepreneur. To learn more about the HER Gov community, upcoming events, and resources, visit hergovcon.com. And remember, don't wait for a seat at the table. Build one, lead one, and invite another woman to join you. I'll meet you right back here next Wednesday for another conversation on the HER Gov Podcast.